Welcome back, Falcons, to our second edition of Tune In Tuesday. I'm McKenna, and today we're discussing how to follow up with employers, and we're going to offer some strategies for virtual networking. We're joined by Jill and Brian, and they're both regular attenders to our campus career events and super passionate about helping students. An additional fun fact, Jill is a business administration and marketing communications alum from UW-River Falls. So let's get started, Falcons.
Thank you, McKenna. This is Jill Hills from Bremer Bank, and I am with Brian. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Brian Dryjanski. I work with Uline Shipping Supplies here in the Hudson area.
We are very excited to be a part of the Tune In Tuesday podcast for UW-River Falls. Brian and I are here to talk about networking and how we do follow-up from career fairs, and we're hoping to answer some questions that we've been sent over as well. First question, should I include a message when requesting to connect with an employer I met at the career fair on LinkedIn? What should that message say if I should?
I like the personal touch. You know, as a recruiter, is my main role, right? When I'm reaching out to people, I do use LinkedIn a lot, specifically for higher level roles that I recruit for. I try not to be too generic, right? I think, especially if you've met this recruiter, I think it makes sense to, thank them for their time, and include some, personal, right? In that interaction that you had. Following up with any recruiter or person that you talk to in regards to building a relationship or networking is probably the number one thing that I would suggest. So yes, put a message, but also pretty much always make sure to try to follow up with that individual, whether you find them on LinkedIn, whether you ask the career services team if they have the information from that individual. I think you need to always try to follow up with them somehow if possible.
Great. I completely agree with you. I think that having that personal touch is so important. It sometimes, especially after we've met maybe 100 kids or students, I should say, it can be confusing. And if it's, so-and-so, and maybe you even reference what we talked about, for me, it just links that together even stronger. And one of the fun things I think is neat is people who I've connected with in career fairs from the past 5-10 years, and I'm still connected on LinkedIn with them, and I see them progressing in their careers or getting promoted or starting a new job. And I just think, wow, that's pretty cool. So I definitely think a message should be included, and that personalization is important.
Yeah, well, and you kind of talk about too, seeing people progress. I mean, and I don't know if it's, I've kind of noticed when people kind of get into HR, they typically stay there, whether it's with an organization or not, right? So if you connect with that individual, depending on where your career wants to go as well, that's going to be a benefit for you because you can kind of look, at who your connections are at different companies or in HR in general, and you can then go see maybe what postings they're looking to fill, and you can reach out directly to them, and that might be down the road, but having that connection and that personal thing, I mean, that's gonna help that for sure.
Next question for us is, what steps can I take to actively try to diversify my professional network?
We just talked about LinkedIn. I think that's always good. I think when you have a career fair, and again, I know this year is going to be different, at least for the fall right now, it's going to be mostly virtual, but my suggestion would be to, definitely research the companies that, even if you don't hear them, I'll be honest, when I applied for Uline, I'd never heard of Uline before. So I had to do my research to kind of figure out who they were and what the company was about. And I think that as students, you have the luxury of having companies come to you essentially for these fairs, and then you have the ability to kind of pick and choose who you want to talk to. Jill and I both worked for Target, a very large company. I've talked to a lot of students at multiple fairs that are always very interested in working for Target. And I still shop there. I wouldn't tell you not to. I would say if that's what your desire is great, but don't just focus on the big organizations. Make sure that you're diversifying, as we're kind of talking about this, with some of the smaller organizations too, because, you never know what's going to happen. Uline, I've been with the company 6.5 years. When I was here as an organization, I don't know if I can share this, but I'm going to anyway, we made I think my first year we were just a little over $3 billion as an organization. And at this point this year, even with COVID and everything that's going on, we should be over 6.
Wow.
So you never know what's going to happen, even if you go talk to those family-owned businesses or small organizations versus the large Targets, Best Buys things. And I'm not saying don't talk to the big ones, but diversify that. Make sure that you're researching other organizations and taking chances on them, especially if you feel that their company culture, from what you can tell, and those things are going to fit with what you're hoping to see with an organization.
That's a fantastic point. That diversity, well, it is. No, it's good around diversification of of industries too. If someone would have told me I was going to be working in HR at a bank in the year 2020, I never probably would have believed you. I thought I would have ended up in marketing or sales or something like that. I was in retail, and here's where my career has led me to, so be open, learn everything you can about lots of those organizations, especially those in the area where you're hoping to live after graduation. So exactly. I think that's great. I think another part of diversity is just diversity of thought, and I feel like, as you start you're opening up that LinkedIn profile for the first time and you're getting that out there, start with friends and colleagues, those close around you, but then really take that step back and say, what do I need more of? And ask for folks to help you connect with people maybe who are, different generations than you, different ethnicities than you, maybe, primary language is different, something like that. Maybe they're in a different part of the US, and look for those opportunities to get to know people who aren't just like you. I think you'll be really happy when you do that, and you'll get to learn and experience a lot of different aspects of people in their careers and how they got to where they are today. Is LinkedIn the best platform for virtual networking? What do you think, Brian?
Man, there's so much social media stuff out there now, and then I guess I couple LinkedIn in that, I guess, as well. It's not maybe the social media that we think about with Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram and all that fun stuff, but I would say at the moment, professionally, at least in my opinion, I would say probably LinkedIn is the best way to go through things. You're going to have more individuals on there that you're not posting your pictures of your vacation and stuff like that. It's all professional stuff, and there's great stuff out there. So the more people you can talk about Diversify, the more people that you connect with, they're going to share different pieces on their walls that might benefit you, whether it's resume reviews or different things like that as well. But I would say, yeah, I think professionally, LinkedIn is probably the best. I would say, knowing that we're doing the virtual stuff now, at least for the fall, and having experience doing one of the fairs already for a different college, seeing how Handshake kind of handles some of that stuff. I think Handshake's not bad. You should definitely have a profile on there. You should definitely fill that out, especially before doing a fair with companies if you sign up for times, because it allows them to look at your background and get that conversation going when you typically only have 10 minutes to talk. So I think Handshake's probably another good one. Maybe in my thought right now, my frame of mind would be LinkedIn first, Handshake second. And as more schools start to use Handshake and more employers realize that they can reach directly to students through that, who knows what that'll end up looking like. But right now, I think those are probably the two in my mind. I would say I'd stay away from the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram stuff for now. That may change again in the future, but LinkedIn and Handshake are more professional side of things for networking.
I totally agree with you, and I haven't used Handshake as much, so thanks for sharing about that. I think that like the Instagram and Twitter and all that, I say go ahead and follow companies, because you can learn a lot about their culture that way. You can see what they're sharing, company picnic or whatever it might be, pictures, things like that, different activities, things about what they're doing for community involvement. It's a great way to research, but I agree with you. I think about your professional presence as it relates on like LinkedIn or something like that. So I also think that following blogs, if there's maybe a certain industry blog, if you're looking to get an HR, there's different blogs, there's different websites you can kind of be a part of and learn more about. But again, from a putting yourself out there standpoint, I think LinkedIn is the best. How long should someone give an employer to respond?
That's a loaded question, right? I mean, what I can tell you right now with us here, you know, luckily we had this time to chat a couple of weeks out, Jill. Otherwise, I can tell you right now I'd be in an interview more than likely. So, with today's market and all that's going on, including COVID, I think you got to be a little patient with the team, depending on, you know, as you meet with them, right? Most students at River Falls know Uline fairly well. I'm right down the road from you guys, and I think know that we have a lot of River Falls alums here. But one of the things is my HR department is basically me and one other person. So when all my job is to do is to, well, it's not my only job, but obviously as part of it is to doing interviewing and trying to respond to people, whether it's through LinkedIn or other things. I try to respond within 24 hours personally, but that doesn't always happen. And so I would say, you know, give them a couple of days, depending on the frame of the week, right? If it's, you know, beginning of the week, maybe give them to the end of the week, Thursday, Friday time frame. You know, if it's the end of the week, they end up reaching out, give them to earlier in the week and stuff too. And then it's okay to follow up, you know, multiple times. I'm okay with that. I think you want to send me an email saying, hey, did you get my email? I was just checking in. How you doing? You know, that's fine. I think that's good. But give it a little bit of time, little leeway right now, just with everything I think that's going on. HR departments are very busy, I would say.
Yeah, lots going on. Great. I totally agree with your timing on things. I think, yeah, if it's the beginning of the week, give it till the end. You know, maybe give, if it's the end of the week, into the early part. And don't be afraid to contact an employer, you know, and reach out and put that little tickler out there, remind them like, hey, I'd love to talk. So speak up for yourself too, you know, and reach out. Because sometimes we just have so many things going on that we just need to get you bubbled up to the top of the list again. So
sure. Well, persistence is great, right? Now, if you send one on a Monday and you send another on a Tuesday, why haven't you responded to me? That doesn't necessarily mean that's persistent. That's a little bit overkill. But I think, you know, having that follow up for sure shows your interest, which is important, as well as the persistence and perseverance to want to have that conversation. So nothing wrong with that. Just I would give a little leeway in the timing of it.
Absolutely. Agreed. All right. For those with poor internet connections, what do we recommend?
Oh, man.
Well, that can be hard.
I know, right? Well, hopefully your school has a good internet connection, I guess. I'm guessing River Falls probably does if you're allowed to go on a campus area anywhere, hopefully. Things are opening up right now a little bit more. So, you know, maybe find and as far as I haven't gone any coffee shops or anything like that, but if they're allowing you inside, I would say find one that might be quiet and go off to a corner. And usually they have decent internet connections as well these days. I think a lot of cell phones can do hotspots. So if you have the ability to do that, maybe just do the hotspot, but, you know, try to find those other places that you can go that are quiet to, you know, ask some friends. I don't know. I mean, the other people that might have better internet connections than you, just say, hey, you know, if I wear a mask over, can I sit in someone's, you know, in your kitchen and have a conversation with somebody? You do what you can do.
Absolutely. And I think you're right too. I'm sure on campus, there's, you know, in the library, there's going to be spots where you could reserve, like, let's say you have an interview coming up and it's a remote interview like this, you know, via WebEx or something. You know, get yourself prepared, get there early, get everything connected, and hopefully, you know, you'd be able to have that all ready to go and that you wouldn't have the issues. I've been on a couple interviews, especially early on this year as things kind of went haywire, where, you know, we had to be kind of okay with just no video and just audio, and we did that and we hired people that way. People understand, but I think now, especially 6 months into this, if it's possible for you to get some strong internet connection, again, through asking friends or your professors, then do that. Try your best.
Yeah, I mean, we've done, like you said, phone stuff too. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you just work with it. I think companies are flexible now, and we're happy to do phone, you know, or teleconference or whatever it is, if it's just audio. But yeah, you'll figure it out. There's people out there that'll help you out for sure.
I'm sure McKenna and Melissa and all of them at Career Services would love to help you too.
Sure, yeah.
For the day, huh? They're fantastic. I'm sure they would know how to help you. Couple more questions before we wrap. Good conversation starters without sounding creepy or too casual.
I don't know, for me and any of the students that have met me at career fairs, I mean, I try to be professional, but I'm a pretty casual conversationalist, hopefully. I like to get to know the student and ask the questions about the resume and stuff like that, of course, but I think you want to show some of that. You want to show your personality, so you don't want to be so rigid as you have this conversation. You want to kind of have that middle of professionalism, and I'd almost say, for me, I'd rather see the personality and the professionalism, maybe with what you're wearing, right? So if you're wearing a suit or a dress or whatever and you present well, that's great. And then let's just talk about other stuff. If you have a connection with that organization anyway, I think that's always a good way to open it, to say, hey, a couple of my friends work for Uline or Bremer. They've said that it's been a great experience. Love to chat with you more about some of the opportunities you have. That's a good way to go about it. We've had siblings come to us, same thing, those types of things. So I think any way you can kind of connect to the company is probably a good way to start without sounding creepy. But honestly, just introduce yourself. You can give the name, give the year you are. Love to hear more about your organization and kind of go from there, right? I think it doesn't have to be, hey, nice shirt, I don't know. But I think it's one of those things where keep it as casual as you can, while still having that professional conversation. And I know it sounds weird, two sides of things, but I'd rather talk to you candidly and have more conversation than just, sound like a robot and be too professional.
I'm with you too. I mean, I've had some really fantastic conversations, especially with UWRF Falls students at the career fairs, and I've had some that have been a little odd. They might be just really nervous, and just don't be nervous. We're there for a reason. We're there to help you guys learn about other companies and industries and things like that. So know that we're ready to help and answer questions. I love your idea about maybe just bringing in some questions around the company culture, or where's the company located. I mean, just simple things like that can get the conversation going and allow us a chance to start sharing with you. So I think like you said, be comfortable. A little casualness it's not a bad thing. It's just be ready to talk though, and meet us at our eye level, and talk to us and have a good conversation. We're here to get to know you as well. And this goes for online as well, which I know is the world we're in right now, especially with these online career fairs we're doing this fall. So exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking to that, right? I did our first virtual career fair yesterday, and they went really well. The handshake, just so students know, handshake works very smooth, not only for the employer, but it seems like for the student, which is great if you haven't done a lot of this before. But the students that I talked to for this school, the conversation kind of started out of like, how's your day going? Great, good. How's this weirdness affecting school? You know what I mean? Like those types of things, especially as what you're kind of dealing with now. And I think that's even a good way to kind of have that conversation, start that off. How's work changed for you? How's school changed for you? And everybody's dealing with this right now. So I think it's okay to even call that out and have that as part of your conversation right away.
It's kind of like the weather, which is always a safe one too. How has this impacted you? Are you working? In my case, I'm working from home still. In Brian's case, it looks like you're in the office at least most days. So, every company's reacted differently, and I think it says a lot about how, about their company culture and how they're working with their employees and supporting them. And so, whether it's home or in the office, I mean, you can learn a lot by just even leaning into that a little bit. So I think that's a great conversation starter. Well, we're through all of our questions asked by students. So I think we'll wrap up here in a second. But Brian, any final last comments or thoughts?
Well, it kind of mentioned it there in that last thing that we talked about with, I've done the one fair, so I'm not a pro or an expert at this at all, but through handshake. And, again, just for students that'll listen to this, it went pretty smooth. It was very, it was different, but it was still good to have that one-on-one time with the students and get to know them and ask them what their thoughts are. Highly recommend, because we will be able to see you, that you dress appropriately as if you were going to dress to the career fair. And to be fair, I would even say dress up a little bit more, just because if if you typically go to the career fair right after a class and you're, wearing jeans and a sweatshirt, I mean, we understand that as employers, but I would say now that you have the opportunity to set a time and pick a time, be prepared for that. And I mean, everybody I met the other day was great. I had people wearing suits and ties and, things like that, whether they were wearing the suit pants, I couldn't tell you. But they were prepared, and I think that this is a good thing for the students. This is going to teach you to be more professional and give you the opportunity to do that. And I would definitely, make sure you research the organization before you get on there. Whether it's seeing the positions that are available, reading the statement, of the company and what happened with the organization, and I think all this gives you the ability, like, by setting a specific time to meet with an employer, you are able to set yourself up for success, knowing that this is the 10 minutes that I'm going to have with that person face to face. And I'm going to be prepared for that. And that would be my main suggestion with this virtual stuff. But as we talked earlier, set different times to talk with different people. Each employer, if they're doing one-on-ones, have 6 meetings an hour. And so, try to diversify, try to meet as many of these companies as you can. Talk to as many as you can. This is your time to meet with people, in a say safe space, but I mean, honestly, just in a spot where, we all just want to talk and there's not other things going on, right? This person is focused on you because that's the 10 minutes. So, take that opportunity to fill up your calendar if you can. Meet with multiple companies.
That's a great suggestion. Good point. Yeah, it is a safe space, and take advantage of it. There's a lot of opportunity that has come about in this pandemic and how it's affecting our lives. There are some silver linings out there, and so take advantage of new and different opportunities. But this might be something even after things slow down a little bit and are better that we might still be doing in different ways. So get used to it. I mean, we're changing, and that can be a really good thing. So great points that you made there. I think all together, I just want to say, I want to wish all the students well this semester and moving on. I know there's been a lot of adversity the last 6 months for all of you, for all of us. Hang in there, be safe, make good decisions, wear your mask,
be smart, things,
yes. But ultimately, enjoy your time in school, enjoy learning. I miss it, to be honest with you, and I think you all have just wonderful opportunities ahead of you. So we wish you the best. If anyone ever wants to reach out and learn more about Bremer Bank, I'd be happy to share my time with you. And I'm sure, Brian, if people want to learn about Uline, you would also open that up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know McKenna and Melissa in the Career Services Office, they have our information, myself and my colleague. And Uline is typically on campus, not right now as much, but we're around. We're down the road too. So, always shoot us an email, LinkedIn, like we mentioned earlier. Please feel free. We're happy to talk.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we'll wrap up our podcast. And like we said, we wish you all the best. Have a great school year.
That's good luck.